I get bored. I'm not going to say I get bored easily. It's not that I can lose interest in that business, but I think it's just not my skill set to be a manager, to be a CEO.
The other thing I found across all different sectors is that I think there's definitely a difference between the kind of person who's an entrepreneur and starts a company from scratch and becomes a CEO that way, and the kind of person that I call a corporate climber who might say, be the top of a very big organization as CEO, but he or she has started at the bottom. Maybe they were a graduate trainee or something, and they've kind of slowly gone up the ladder. So someone like you, for example, Matt, from what I know of your background, you're more the entrepreneur type, I think, who's wanted to take the risk, start the business. You've got to have this, the charisma and the talent to make the elevator pitches, to bring people on board. And that's quite a different skill set from the person who very patiently networks in the company, works their way up, gets better at interviews, gets all the good reports and things from colleagues to move up. And I didn't put this in the book because it only occurred to me later, but there's something that really makes the founding CEO stand out, which is that they've never had to do a job interview to get their job. Because of course not, they created the company, they made it. Whereas the person who's gone up the company, all to get to the top, they've had to be interviewed. So what I find is my impression of these people when I meet them, it's not an exact science, of course there's exceptions, but the career climbers who've got to the top are a little bit more cautious, a bit more reserved. When they come for my interviews, they've often prepared in advance, like an exam, what their CEO secret's going to be, their advice. And then they really want to, oh no, I haven't said that right, I need to say that again. They've got a very specific idea of what they want it to be. And they're a bit more, just enjoy a bit more measured. Whereas I find the people who've created their own startups and have become CEOs that way, they're a bit more relaxed. They're a bit more willing to take risks with the interview they're doing of me. So they haven't necessarily got stuff pre-prepared, or they might be quite happy to jettison what they thought they were going to say and do something else. And I just pick up these little small things during the interview that they're a different kind of animal, a different kind of person.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if you relate to that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you anymore. I mean, it's something that I identified for myself. Very early in my career, I worked in a family corporate clothing business when I was kind of 18 to 21, 18 to 22. And that was a business. It was full of problems. It was a real kind of get your hands dirty in every area, in every department from day one. And and I loved it. And that's what I love today. The kind of the problem solving, the cut and thrust. The pressure, the having to come up with ideas. Take something from beyond embryonic to small to the baby and on. But then then I get bored. I'm not going to say I get bored easily. It's not that I can lose interest in that business, but I think it's just not my skill set to be to be a manager, to be a CEO. And I think and I know that very much about myself now, what I do. But I think a big criticism for me of other business owners, particularly. And it's an ego thing, because ultimately, it comes down to to nothing more than ego. I think anyone who starts or founds a business tends to feel that they have to be the CEO. That's the title that gives them the most respect and kudos. And I should be running this business because I founded it. But there's so many different skill sets and character trait differences between a founder and a manager and the CEO. Like you say, to me, a CEO is almost a highly trained career type person. And I think so many businesses would be better off if the owners or the founders would acknowledge that and not think it's a slight against them, but that it's very honest and telling of them that they know it's time. It's not about stepping back or stepping aside, but you're stepping into a different role that that you're best for. And in the same way, you might not be best placed to be a professional cricketer or a professional footballer, or if you are a professional footballer, that doesn't mean you're going to translate to being a professional boxer. There's it's horses for courses. It's boxes for all the different people, and it was very interesting you brought that up, because I mean I am absolutely not a manager. I'm not a CEO, and that's that's very much the wrong place for me to be in my businesses. But I don't think that I don't think that makes me less capable or makes me not look as good as I could be. I want to go and excel in the areas that I'm good at.